Here's the thing. Are ads art? Hey, that's Tayo. This is Color Mine, a place where I talk about things I've thought about so maybe you can think about them too. And can I tell you a secret? I feel like we've known each other for a long time now. Your name. You make me feel things, emotions I haven't felt since Caitlin's left with the children. I mean, you know this. What I'm trying to say is your name is I love you. And that some nights I like to get high and watch commercials. Liberty Mutual commercials, Geico commercials, Progressive insurance commercials. Especially Progressive insurance commercials. They fucking slap. The oldest known prehistoric art is a series of petroglyphs, or rock carvings, discovered during the 1990s in two ancient caves in India, the Auditorium Cave in Bhimbetka and a rock shelter at Dothraki, Chitan. I think I said that right. Geological investigation of these prehistoric sites have established that these rock arts predate the Acheulean culture of the lower Paleolithic era, and therefore means they date from at least 290,000 BCE.
It's a rock fact!
The first commercial ever was about the importance of accessible education in civil society and advocated that even in the fast-paced environment of the industrial age, novel technology should be used first and foremost to allow educational opportunities to the country's future, so that later generations could continue to chase the almighty and 100% definitely attainable American dream. Its famous musical number produced by Anthony Falcone was a hit with husbands and housewives alike and ushered in a new era of American consumerism, a pipe list that craved purpose, capital, and most importantly, connection for free.
Connected for free, free with education connection. Get connected for free, free with education connection.
I know y'all are so lost about what this fucking video is about, but don't worry about that. We're here for a good, not a long time. Don't try, just vibe.
Ladies and gentlemen, her.
Our beloved shoujo begins with the introduction of our main protagonist. She's plucky, she's comfy, she's low-key con chunky. Yes, it's Flo. Played by the illustrious Stephanie Courtney, Flo is an employee, perhaps the only employee, of the Progressive Insurance Company store, located in what I can only assume is Janet's Void from The Good Place. At the beginning of the series, like most slice-of-life animes, it's mostly episodic, following a similar formula each time. A customer has a problem, often on deciding what type of insurance to get. Flo solves said problem, usually with the infamous name your price tool. There's a punchline tangential to what she said. Progressive catchphrase. Basically, we get the sense that Flo is a bubbly, caring, if overzealous customer service agent who, above all else, wants to help. You specifically, with your two uninsured motorcycles and newly bought speedboats. She is energetic and endearing and attentive. Flo is the ideal person you would want to come up to you at a Best Buy or a Radio Shack as you search for cam gear, as you start your OnlyFans, or stalking your Twitch waifu. She knows exactly what you need. It's basic and kind of boring, but you know how season 1 goes. Lots of filler, but it's mostly world building. Introducing conflict. In addition to adding Jim Cashman as Jamie, who basically is just the new guy on the job going way too hard for an employer that pays him 41% below the national average, in 2010 an adversarial duo was introduced to position against our shoujo queen Flo in the form of Bill and Tom from another insurance company. They served as an effective strongman to show the difference between Progressive and their competitors, portraying them as inept and often just wanting to be progressive, like, nigga, get your own drip. During this arc, most commercials centered around Flo and a battle of wits between these two manipulative, conniving salesmen trying to mislead and misinform America's most vulnerable, the insecure and uninsured.
Our company does that too.
Actually, we invented that.
Hot take, Flo from Progressive was the first person to attack fake news before it was popular. Unfortunately, Bill and Tom were eventually discontinued after someone filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau alleging that Progressive was making false claims that they offered discounts that Allstate and other insurance providers did not. Which, as an aside, is so fucking baller to me. Like, imagine your marketing being so good that someone snitched to the feds on you. Like, iconic, goated, top five. From Bill Glass as Dr. Rick, to Irwin from Sweet Life and Zack and Cody, to multi-hyphenate and dark-skinned thirst trap Terrence Terrell, the star power on Progressive's roster has exploded in the last couple of years, and overall has increased both the quality and the popularity of Progressive insurance. But, like, Does Progressive sell insurance anymore? Like, no cap, no funny? For the last couple of years, the old model of Flow helping customers escape the void has transformed into this sort of, the only thing I call is like weird shit. Not weird shit, but like random shit, right?
Too late. Saga bam boom. Who's in the room? Love is dangerous.
Or like extremely topical hashtag relatable content like Zoom meetings.
Yeah, Jamie's the guy running it. I once had to fake jury duty to get out of talking about his yogurt preferences.
Mara, you know you're not on mute, right?
Oh, there's a mute button?
And here's the thing. I like it. I find the new commercials funnier, more satirical, more engaging, closer to a web series than an infomercial. Closer to art. Does the Progressive commercial count as art? Haha. I've tricked you into art history. Fountain was a ready-made sculpture made by Marcel Duchamp in 1917, or at least it was. The original has been since lost to history and I imagine public sewage. Consisting of a porcelain urinal signed R. Mutt, it was an ordinary piece of plumbing chosen by Duchamp and was submitted under a pseudonym for the inaugural exhibition of the Society of Independent Artists to be staged at the Grand Central Palace in New York. When examining the purpose of his ready-made sculpture, Duchamp stated that they were everyday items elevated to the dignity of a work of art. Dada was an artistic and cultural movement between the years 1913 and 1923, usually considered to have been started by Duchamp's Fountain. Truthfully, trying to define the politics of Dada is as confusing as the purpose of Dada itself. I mean, what even is daddy? Daddy-doms were only aligned in their rejection of alignment. If Dada had any attraction for them, it was as a call of freeing themselves from any movement at all, instead of just being lumped into yet another movement. They were anti-art. And they strive to make anti-art, if we take art to be an historical asset or sociological phenomenon of human creative activity. It was evident to the Dadaists that art is inherently a political concept, and that the creation of art must be then a critical practice, both as a method of analysis, but also more fundamentally as a part of the human experience. The artist is not a great creator. Duchamp went shopping at a plumbing store. The artwork itself is not a special object. It was mass-produced in a factory. The experience of art is not exciting nor ennobling. At best, it's puzzling and mostly leaves one with a sense of distaste and vertigo at times. But over and above that, as philosopher Stephen Hicks notes, Duchamp did not just select any ready-made object for display. In selecting the urinal, his message was clear. Art is something you piss on. Which is to say, yes, everything is art, but more importantly, nothing is art. And now, sports.
I get an idea and it's pretty great. We can hit Atlanta if I keep the lane. We can switch states, escape. We can change our name, you can do mine, maybe hyphenate, ayy. So what you think, cause I still got half in the gas tank. Any tunes for you, your skin on me smoother than Balmain. Meet me at sundown, I promise you calm on a Sunday. And the way you out like fashion, your body my runway. Pretend to care about your zodiac, Etsy or something. And call you a five-head when I touch you, start with a bluffing. And call you home when I miss having someone to blush with, you know, like love shit. When the city is buried in amber, let me show you how your beauty still shines.
So here's something for your head top. The flower is the original ad.
Flowers are nothing but advertisement. They are an advertisement to pollinators to come get free food, and unknowingly, as you can see, they get covered with pollen, and when they go to the next flower, that pollen hits the stigma, goes down to the ovary, and the flower gets to reproduce. So all those beautiful colors out there, and even things in the ultraviolet spectrum that you can't see, are advertisements by the flowers to the pollinators.
Last year, my former roommate and I were having a somewhat intense conversation about this distinction between ads and art. His main point was that true art is supposed to have no other purpose but the expression of the artist. Or put simply, art is for art's sake. Art is just someone trying to get across an idea in the most honest fashion possible. It doesn't need to mean anything. It doesn't even need to be purposeful. It's just another medium for humans to speak to one another. On the other hand, commercials, ad campaigns, VPN sponsorships, all have a sole agenda to sell you something. And in committing that cardinal sin of intent, they preclude themselves from being art. They forever will just be products, propaganda. And we're having this conversation like going back and forth for a while, and at some point I started to agree. But then, much like you, if you stop looking at your TikTok in between every cutscene that I put specifically for retention, realized that's not P.
You're not P.
What is the true difference between an art and marketer? Nothing but framing and health insurance and being able to make rent. Okay, like there's actually a lot of things that are different. But as we kept talking, we were finding that we both could agree on the idea that art is inherently subjective. We weren't necessarily talking about what made something art. What I found our tension to be was the legitimacy of calling something art, if that makes sense. And the need to separate the idea of something that is art versus something that is an advertisement. And to my roommate, this was important because it feels disingenuous to call a Taco Bell commercial art in the same breath as a Basquiat or as a Georgia O'Keeffe, right? It seems almost sacrilege because these pieces of art, we call them art because they make us feel something with very little pretense, right? They don't feel like they have an ulterior motive. Whereas if you work in a marketing department or if you are creating ads in a newspaper, you have a sole intention. You are using the tools that you have in order to convince somebody to commit a capitalism. I think it's not only pointless, but honestly damaging to have a sort of line where something becomes art. Because I don't think art's purpose is to become art. And I guess I kind of don't know what art is either, but to be fair, like, what is fire? Closing thoughts. Fire does not exist. Think of fire, right? Like, what is it? Is it a solid, a liquid, a gas? You might say it's a gas, but you're really talking about the smoke. You can kind of call it a solid, but you can't really grab fire. And it's certainly not a liquid. It's a super simple question, but it's, when you start thinking about it, it's actually kind of hard to decipher, right? It's none of those things because fire is a process. What we see as fire is really the temporal event of oxygen continuously changing states that makes it impossible to separate into distinct categories of form. Or said much more unpretentiously, fire be firing. In the same way, this is such a simple question that's kind of hard to answer. It's also kind of a question where it's like, well, why do I even, what's the point of the fucking question? I wonder what is the point of asking the question, are ads art? Or what is in between an art piece and an or an advertisement, right? Why does this question matter? In my mind, art is like fire. Not something we build or paint or record, but experience. Art is the experience of looking at, yes, a product and contorting it in our minds into something that we truly crave, meaning. And that's the thing. Art isn't a noun, it's a verb. So what do you think? Are ads art? Why or why not? What are some of your favorite commercials? I would love to watch them while I'm reading my Bible at night. And as always, be kind.